Hello, everybody, and welcome to How to Get Hired, episode number 42 with me, the company's expert. And I hope you guys like what I've done with my hair. I did it for you. Okay, this is my Q&A. So if you have a question about anything to do with getting hired, get in the chat and ask me a question. And while we are waiting for people to show up and ask questions, I want to share something with you I got the other day, which I thought was really, really awesome. This person sent me this, says, "Hi Bill, just wanted to say thank you for all the content you have put out on YouTube. After a 9-month long job search with lots of ridiculous, drawn out and disrespectful interviews, I finally got double job offers and was able to negotiate the salary up on a fantastic job that I accepted. And this is great news. Your videos completely changed the way I approach job interviews, made me 1,000% better or 1,000 times better at playing the interview game. I absolutely smashed my last 2 interviews, and it is all thanks to you." Well, that's extremely flattering, and I'm glad this is working out. Lastly, thank you so much for saying "you're awesome" at the end of your videos. I find the job hunt process to be so discouraging and dehumanizing at times. When it is not going well, I can feel so worthless and alone. You seem to know this is common because you subtly tell people in your videos to not be so hard on yourself, and I'm so deeply appreciative for that. I know it sounds silly, but when you remind me to not give up in a video or tell me that I'm still awesome, it genuinely brought me to happy tears at times when I was feeling defeated and alone. You do a great job and compassionate service to people, and I hope you feel appreciated for what you do. Thank you very much. This is an awesome, heartwarming thank you note, and I think it's absolutely awesome that the person took the time to write this. So that's great to know. And I am glad that they are prospering and things are going good, and that they have double job offers. That's really awesome when you do that. You get to do some salary negotiation. So yeah, it's a good thing. Good thing. So yes, I have one other question here also from another person. Let's see if I can cue this up. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Right here. This was in response to a poll. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Okay. So this was in response to the poll. When a recruiter asks a question, it usually, and then I think the options were something like, it usually is, it means something other than what they say or something like this. So this person says, employers play these games instead of just being honest. They want all candidates to be 100% honest, or you have no hope for the position. However, they are allowed to be misleading, try to trick you, and play games. Honestly, it's sad that employers can't just ask specific and honest questions that allow them to decide if you are the right person or not. I think this is the number one issue with people looking for work. Number one, they fear playing this game because if they don't get the answers right, they don't get the job. And two, the employer, if not interested, never responds to let potential employees know. Yeah, I think this is good food for thought. See, the way that employers are behaving has directly come as a reaction to the way job seekers are behaving. This is the thing. And in the last several years, there's been some trends in how job seekers behave. For example, there's been a lot of quitting and things like this. And, I think a lot of the latest generation of job seekers and workers are wisening up to the fact that, they're looking out for themselves. They're looking out for number one. Companies and organizations have demonstrated over the last several decades that, their loyalty is really not to their employees. And so a lot of job seekers and employees, their behavior has responded to that by saying, okay, well, if you're not going to be loyal to me, then I'm going to look out for myself. And job interviews are an extension of that assumption about people. And what this person is saying, I think, if I could find that screen again, what this person is saying is, talking about honesty and stuff. A lot of people aren't fully honest in job interviews, and this is a good thing. It's a sales pitch. Like I keep saying, you're selling yourself. And, any person that has done sales, that there's a fine line. Now, you don't lie and say something that's false, but you put a spin on what you do say. That means you emphasize the positive points and you de-emphasize the negative points. If you can avoid saying the negatives altogether, that's even better, right? There's a difference between being honest. My definition of being honest is saying something that's untrue, right? Or, if you're dishonest, you're saying something that's untrue, right? Now you go to a job interview and you don't reveal some big negative thing about you because they didn't ask you about it. That's okay, right? As most job seekers will say. So anyway, if you're here, get in the chat. This is Q&A. So I'm reliant on people asking me questions. So if you're seeing this on the desktop or you're seeing this on mobile, you should see the chat box somewhere near my face. So get in the chat box, tell me what challenge you're facing or what you're struggling with, and I will do what I can to help you. Some other questions I got recently were, somebody was asking, is it okay to bring materials to the interview so you don't have to memorize an answer? This is a question I got. And what I would say is, yes, it is okay to bring materials, but there's a few basic guidelines here. First of all, there is a lot of stigma in having a smartphone or any other cell phone on the table if you are in a job interview. So if you have notes and things on your cell phone or your smartphone, that could be a bit of an issue because a lot of people have a problem with you putting your cell phone on the table when you're doing an interview. People suspect you might be recording them, or they suspect that you might be distracted. You're waiting for a call or you're waiting for something else that, to you is more important. It takes priority. So whether or not that's true, that's kind of what people will wonder. Okay, they'll suspect that. So there is some issues in putting a smartphone down. But if you have, just traditional old paper, like you print off some notes, you put it on paper, and you bring some papers to the interview, you place the papers in front of you on the table, that's not an issue in itself. If you're staring down at the paper the entire time and you're not making eye contact with the interviewer, that's going to be a problem, okay? But simply having a paper on the table in front of you that you maybe occasionally glance at, you still maintain eye contact, but you glance at it occasionally to jog your memory. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So if that would help you in a job interview, go ahead and do it. I recommend that, first of all, you have a copy of your resume in front of you. Okay, that's always a good thing because they usually will have a copy of your resume on the table in front of you if this is a face-to-face meeting, okay? If this is a virtual meeting, it's kind of moot because you could have it up on the screen, you could have it up around you and they wouldn't know. But I see that my chat is slowing down for some reason, or my feed is slowing down. So I don't know what's going on. Hopefully that'll clear up. Anyway, but yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having some notes or having some reference papers. The job posting is always good. If you have responded to a job posting, then a copy of the job posting is good to have in front of you on the table, especially when you are responding to the job requirements, right? They've said what they're looking for. So it's a good idea for you to know all the things that were on the job posting under the requirements section so that you can speak to each one, right? That's a common thing. So having that paper in front of you that you can just glance at, if you've gone ahead of time and you've highlighted a few words here and there, that really helps too. But yeah, any communications you might have had with the recruiter to set up the interview or anything is always, if you can print that out, that's always a good idea. You don't have to do it, but it helps. And then beyond that, there's all kinds of other things you could bring in, depending what level you're at. You could bring in the company's prospectus or, so yes, you can have materials in the interview. It's okay. As long as they're not a distraction and as long as they don't signal other things. Now, the specific question was, can you bring materials to the interview so you don't have to memorize your answers? You don't remember the answer to a job interview question that you're likely to be asked. So you want to write it down on a piece of paper and read it out to the interviewer. Okay, if that's what you're proposing, that's a bad idea. Okay, do your preparation, learn the answers. Okay, don't be reading off a piece of paper in response to questions. Okay, that's what I would say. We're not really getting a lot of questions here. So if you are here and you have any questions, get in the chat. If I don't get any questions, I'll I have no choice but to end the chat because I don't have an agenda really of anything to say. So, yeah. Yeah, the only other post-it notes I have for questions and things people asked are about entrepreneurship and business. So, so there you go. I guess there's not a lot of things on people's mind today. So what I will do then, I guess, is I'm going to end this really early. But thank you to the 13 people that are here. You guys are here, so that's something. I will be back next week with another edition of How to Get Hired. So join me for that. Oh, just as I say that, I got a question here. Let's see. Glad Coming says, hello, how to present yourself best in the first screening call. What's a screening call? Like this is a telephone interview? Is that what you're talking about? Well, I mean, how to present yourself the best. Now, if this is a phone call, obviously they can't see you. If this is a online sort of video call, then, you know, they can see you. And just the standard stuff you would do to do a video call where, you know, you prepare ahead of time and you rehearse, like, you know, what the camera is pointing at. You first learn how to use your own technology. The most amateur thing you can do is get on a video call that's a job interview and be fooling around with your own technology. You know, the camera's not working and we don't know why. The sound is not working. We don't know why. That's very amateur. And the first thing you can do is make sure you're not doing that. So make sure you familiarize yourself with your technology. Whatever you're using, if it's a phone or it's a laptop or, you know, whatever, make sure you do that. Okay. Dress up a little bit, you know, try to look professional or at least business casual, you know, wear at the very least some kind of polo shirt, golf shirt. You know, if you're a guy, you know, you can even wear a dress shirt. You don't need to wear a tie or anything like that for most of these things. And then answer the question. Just be super friendly, super accommodating, have a very positive attitude. Okay. Don't show boredom. Don't show frustration. You know, anything like that. Okay. Just be super pleasant, friendly. Try to look approachable. Don't be like, you know, some people, like, I see their LinkedIn photos that they take of themselves. They take their profile picture and it's like, not only are they not smiling, but they look just pissed off. They look like unapproachable. Like, you know, I've seen people, they look like, you know, they're kind of like glaring at you and stuff. And it's like, you know, don't do that. Don't come across like that. If you saw someone like that, would you think, oh, I'd love to work with them? You know, that doesn't give you that feeling, right? So try to be pleasant, try to be approachable. You know, that can be a challenge, you know, especially when you're nervous and especially when you maybe, you know, the technology isn't working for you. The meeting isn't going well. Your setup at the last minute is being weird. And, you know, so you're kind of frustrated and you're nervous, you know, just practice, just trying to be more pleasant and come across more pleasant. The other things you can do are like pretty obvious stuff. It's pretty low level, obvious stuff. It's like Be familiar with the job, be familiar with the company. Don't have them call you and go, "What? What's this about? Oh, I thought this was another company." Don't do any of that. If you show that you are prepared, that signals that you are interested, okay? And being interested and wanting the job is a requirement. Now, I know that sounds self-evident, but you'd be surprised how many people don't give that impression. The other thing is that what they do is they put on a sort of too cool for you attitude. Like, "Oh, I'm so talented. Which job was this again? Oh, you want me for that? You want me to do that? Oh, okay. Well, I'm so talented. This might be a bit beneath me." They have that kind of attitude. That does not work. I know what people are trying to do by putting that on. They're trying to convey that they're in demand, that they're really talented. They've got a lot of traits that, they realize they're highly employable. But when you act like that, it does more harm than good. Okay, so don't do that. Be appreciative, be thankful, thank you for giving me this opportunity, and seem excited. Don't consider it above you or below you to be excited about it and say like, "Oh, I'm really passionate about this. I'd really love to be in that role." You can do it in a dignified way. You don't have to crawl and feel like two inches tall, to do it. You do it with dignity, but you show interest and you show excitement about it and you show appreciation. So these are some of the basic things, right? A lot of people, they're immediately eliminated because they fail in one of these areas. Okay, that's pretty common. Don't know why my computer is like, it's skipping and it's slowing down. So hopefully the feed is fine. I'm going to turn off my browser here so we won't be able to go on the web together, but that's okay. Teresa says, "Hi, a few days ago, I got a rejection email. Not enough experience. First candidate quit in 2 days. They called if I could start the next day. Their desperation alarmed me. Was I then experienced? What do you think?" Okay. When they said you weren't experienced, that's just a kiss off. Okay. I mean, what usually happens is that they feel sometimes some pressure to say why you didn't get the job. Okay. If they just say, "I'm sorry you didn't get it, goodbye," like that seems a little too abrupt. So they try to make it sound more professional and more palatable by saying, "I'm sorry, we decided to go with somebody else who had more experience," something like that. So they give a reason. However, you can practically bet your life on the fact that any reason they give you is false. Okay. Usually what happens is with these sort of things, they hire the person they like the most. Okay. That's a number one thing. Number two thing is they hire the person that, is the safest option. Right. Okay. And the third thing that's likely is that they have criteria to evaluate people by that they don't want to admit to because it's kind of embarrassing how shallow it is or how silly it is. Okay? So for those reasons and more, they're not going to give you an honest answer. 99.9999999% of the time, they're not going to give you an honest answer on why they rejected you. Okay? That stuff is a very carefully guarded secret of how they think. Okay? So don't pay any attention to that, Teresa. They just went with somebody else. The other factor here, remember, this is a numbers game. The factor is there could have been 5 awesome candidates for this job. They were all qualified. As a hiring manager, you would have loved to hire them all, okay, if you could. But you can't. You have to pick one. Okay, so when it comes down to the last selection, sometimes it's figuratively a coin toss, right? It's not that you're no good in some way. It's just that they can only pick one and you were perfectly fine, but someone else's number was called, right? Now, this person who they called then didn't work out, signaling, showing you, putting it on full display, how stupid and arbitrary this process is. Okay. Now they're calling your number. Okay. So there's nothing in, being given the details that you've given me here. There's nothing in here that is a red flag. Okay. Go down, say yes. If it's something you want to do, say yes. and let's see if it works. If you don't want to do it, then sure, say no. But if you still want the job, if you don't have anything else lined up immediately, I'd check it out. Unless there's any real red flag they've given you or anything that really seems fishy other than this. This doesn't really seem fishy. This just seems like routine. It's just typical recruiters who don't really know what they're doing, just, trying to fill a position. So it could be a good job, but you won't know until you go down and try it, right? So that would be my position on it. Hopefully that helps. Brad 737 says, hello, good afternoon, Bill. Yes, good afternoon. It's still morning where I am, but good afternoon. Glad Coming says, thanks. Yes, no problem, Glad Coming. As I say, I'm here to help. There's 17 of you guys here, so get in the chat and let me know what you think. I'm here to help. I go off your questions. Yeah, it's interesting. 2 weeks ago, the viewership on my channel really dropped off a cliff. So YouTube is doing their thing. And as a result, some of my live streams have had less participation in them because I guess YouTube is not showing my live streams to as many people for some reason, but whatever. So if you have any questions, send me your question. If I don't get any questions in the next sort of 30 seconds, I'll have to sign off. Here we go. Brad 737 says, I have an interview tomorrow, so just in time for your advice as always. Well, good, Brad. Do you have any specific things I could help you with? Your interview preparation. You should be preparing for interviews. There's some questions that, you can predict they're going to ask, and there's other questions that you will not be able to predict they're going to ask. Wow, Teresa joined my channel as a member, so congratulations, Teresa. Thank you very much for your support. There are a bunch of free members-only videos that only members can see, so hopefully you will check those out. But otherwise, I appreciate you giving the show a support there. Worldwide Handsome Tim says, is it worth mentioning that my only past work experience is a family business? Okay, listen, it takes all kinds, okay? Like, there's all kinds of different situations, and there's all kinds of different interviewers who consider all kinds of different things good. But generally, that will count against you, okay? For the same reason that if you mention that you work at a startup, or that you yourself were like an entrepreneur or, whatever, or you do a side hustle or something like that, those all count against you if you're going to a recruiter, okay, for a corporate type job. Because they do not, number one, they do not see the value really in those, okay? Like a family business. The default, okay, look. This is a problem with talking about this stuff, okay? Because I'm playing on the odds, right? The odds are is that the recruiter is going to think this. Will they necessarily think this? No. But the odds are is that they will think that a family business, what could that really teach you? That's not real experience. It's to be regarded as suspicious because it cannot be verified usually. And if it can be verified, it's from a dubious source because your boss is like your dad or your mom or something, right? So they're not really going to be objective in giving a good reference about you or representing you, like if they wrote a letter of recommendation or something like that, right? So for that reason, they regard that experience less valuable, okay? Now, you and I know that that's probably complete crap, okay? You will probably learn so much more in a small operation, like a sort of, where the rubber meets the road kind of small operation. You will learn so much more than you would in a corporate type situation, okay? Because you have to take initiative and you have to make decisions and all this kind of stuff, because you're hitting the ground running. You're not told how to do everything. They don't have corporate policies on everything. And they don't discourage initiative like they do in most corporate jobs, right? Most corporate environments. So it's a very good thing, Brad, okay? Tim, Worldwide Handsome Tim. I love your name. It's a very good thing, but the problem is that it won't be seen that way if you're talking to a recruiter. Now, if you're talking to a small business owner, sure, they will see the value in it more. But if you're talking to a corporate recruiter, they won't see the value. So if you don't have to volunteer that information, don't volunteer it. Okay, that would be my advice. Worldwide Handsome Tim says, for context, it is related to software and I want to go my own way. Okay, well, you're still going to a job interview though, right? Like you're still wanting to work as an employee for somebody else. Okay, so the whole wanting to go your own way thing, if you're trying to get a regular job with an employer, with compensation, like steady compensation, then saying I want to go my own way and all that, that's not going to help you. That'll harm you, because now they're thinking, well, I don't want to hire you because I'm starting to fear that if I hire you, you won't really be dedicated to this job. This is not really what you want to do. You want to do your own thing. You want to go your own way. Maybe you'll only be doing this temporarily. Maybe you'll only be doing this as you start your own thing as a side hustle, in which case your loyalty is now divided between your own side hustle and this job. And we know we're not going to win out on that battle, right? Your loyalty is going to be to your own thing. So once again, saying this stuff in that context hurts you, okay? It's stupid because I applaud you for having the experience you have and wanting and having the ambition you have. But you're not trying to impress me. You're trying to impress corporate recruiters that are trying to fill a position with the person that will stay in that role and enjoy it and do whatever they say and be happy where they are. Okay? That's the kind of person they're looking for. Okay, so saying all this stuff is kind of not that, right? So just be aware of that. Okay? You can still apply for these things and you can still do it. If that's what you want to do, I encourage it. But just, they won't see these things as strengths. They will see them as weaknesses counting against you. Okay? So downplay it. Talk about the experience you have. Talk about your capabilities, what you know, what you've done. But you don't have to give them the backstory of that it's your own sort of side hustle. It's your own family business. Don't give them that stuff unless they really press for it and there's just no way to get out of it without seeming suspicious. That's what I would say. Once again, get in the chat, ask questions if you have questions. I just go off questions, so if I don't have anything, there's not really much I can do. Last week and this week, I've put out a lot of stuff, a lot of videos. I had a real lull in my consulting business. I pretty much had like a 2-week gap. So I've put out a lot of stuff. I did some shorts for the first time. I don't know if I'm really going to persist with those because I can't do great ones with all the high technology. So I'm probably going to not do any more of those. I have done 10 episodes of my live stream called Poll Review, where I go over the polls that I put out every day and discuss the concepts behind the poll questions, what they're asking about. I'm going to be discontinuing that live stream. I'm going to be rolling it into this live stream and start with like doing some poll question reviews somewhere, in this live stream. Because it is tied in with like how to get hired. It does make sense to have it all together. Especially when you have these moments of no questions. So it's good to have something to fill the space. And I'm probably going down to one video again because my consulting stuff starts up again next week in earnest. So that's what's up with me. How are you doing? Okay, there's 24 of you here. Get in the chat. Ask me a question. What are you struggling with? What are you wondering? What I can help you with? If I don't get anything in 30 seconds, I have no real choice other than to sign off. So let me know. You should see the chat box somewhere near my face if you are watching on the desktop or on mobile. What Americans refer to as mobile. I'm from Canada, so I say mobile. But that's just me. Don't let that intimidate you in any way. There's no need to be afraid. I also say Z too, and that freaks out a lot of people. And I write check with CHEQUE. Some people, can't handle that kind of thing. They wonder what are these chiquies I'm sending them. But it's okay. It's okay, as I say. Just rule number 1 is to not be afraid, and rule number 2 is just to tell yourself it's all going to be okay. Well, I'm not really getting anything, so I guess we're going to wind up early this week. So thank you very much for being here. You guys are awesome. I will be back at the same time next Monday for another round of How to Get Hired Q&A. Until then, I wish you all the best success. Remember, you're awesome, and I will see you then. Take care.